The following is a Shaw TV Public Affairs presentation. Constituency Report is produced as a public service by members of the BC Legislature through the facilities of Shaw TV.
Hello and welcome to Constituency Report on Shaw TV. I'm your host, Joanna Groves, and joining us today is Mitzi Dean, MLA for Esquimalt Metchosin. Thanks for being here today, Mitzi.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Great. I'd like to start off, you're first-term MLA, so I'd like to know what your experience has been like being a new MLA.
Well, I still feel really honoured. I feel so privileged to be in this position and so fortunate and excited about representing my constituency. As you know, I was doing community service for many years, for over a decade before, and so I understood the needs of our community and really wanted to advocate for our community, and stepping into this role I feel has been the natural next step, and that I've been able to actually honour my commitment and my promise to my community of being able to amplify their voices, what I've heard on the street from door knocking, what I've observed going on in our community over the past 10, 12 years. The people that we have in caucus are wonderful. I've learned so much already, and it's fabulous working with all of the other 40 NDP MLAs, and especially the ministers as well. The seasoned politicians that we have are really wonderful mentors, and so they've been fabulous at offering support and giving us tips and helping us really keep things in context as well, because even on a daily basis, your hour to hour and your day to day of your week is really varied, and the pieces of work that you're doing and how you have an impact and how you're part of the process varies in all the different methods and all the different stages. And so I'm learning all of that, really enjoying learning all of that, and also being supported by other people in caucus to do that as well. I'm always really proud to honour the legacy that I'm stepping into as well. Frank Mitchell, Mo Sahota, Maureen Karagiannis, they are not only my mentors, but I've admired them, for years. They've served our community so well. And so I really take that honour very seriously. And at the same time, I want to make my mark as well. I want to step into, how do I represent the community? What can I bring to build on that legacy?
Yeah, you're stepping into big shoes.
That's what everyone says. And that's all that I ever feel that I have done. And I embrace that. What I see is that they've set the standard really high, and I appreciate that, and I want to honour that, and then I want to be able to bring to it whatever that I can bring to it, and I want to really fulfil people's belief in me, who encourage me to take on this role and this next step as well. And of course, it's actually. I'm more able and I'm more active now that we have the current government as well. And so, now working with colleagues who are ministers and working with other caucus colleagues as well who are chairing committees, for example, and taking up those leadership roles in provincial pieces of work, that really enables me to offer my skills and my experience, or, whatever. I always say to people, put me where you think I'm best serviced. Use me and use what I think that I can bring in whatever where you see, will be the best fit.
Well, it's all being part of a team.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm really, I really love being part of a team, and I'm really appreciating that with this caucus. And I feel like, I really want to be able to contribute to that team as well. And on any given day, there'll be 3 or 4 places where I could be, where I could be taking part or observing or making a contribution or cracking on with writing something. And so it's really important to make best use of what I think is my time and my skill set, so that I have the greatest impact contributing to the provincial strategy, and the government strategy, and also to what the priorities are in our constituency as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's been really exciting, and of course, I knew a lot of people in our community anyway, and it's really exciting. I knew a lot of people, and of course, I'm reconnecting with a lot of people to actually hear from them, and they're talking to me in a different way that I can move forwards as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. And they just showed some photos of your swearing in.
Right.
That must have been a great feeling.
It was fabulous. It was really wonderful. I've known John Horgan for over 10 years, and of course many of our local South Island MLAs as well, and worked with them and had so much admiration for them. To be, having been successful and been elected to be part of that team and go through that ceremony was really moving, and everybody there felt it, and everybody felt the hope of what might be to come as well. So again, it's a real honour, and the process, you know, the actual ceremony of it all really reminds you of how important this is. And I know that people in my constituency are really proud of who they elect and want to see that ceremony and that celebration as well. So a lot of people wanted to be there, and a lot of people have been, you know, full of congratulations as well. For weeks after the election, I would bump into people and they would still be saying to me, congratulations. And to me, it was like so much had happened since the election. I couldn't believe that I hadn't seen them in that amount of time, but actually it was just because so much happened. So we had that first swearing in, and then of course we had the second one when we were sworn in as government as well, which was another really exciting day. I mean, it feels like the last 6 months has been punctuated by so many milestones and so many exciting days that it's been really important to stay very present and to appreciate being there, and really thinking about, well, you know, this is part of this historic process, and really just, you know, appreciate being there and being there with fabulous colleagues and the support of the community as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned how it seems like it's been such a long time, but of course it's only been since May that you were elected. And I hear that over the summer you were able to attend a lot of community events. Can you tell me about your visit to Wild Ark?
Yes. Yeah, so that was facilitated earlier on this year, and I was educated by the staff there. Of course, Wild Ark is a provincial resource. It's one of just a handful of animal rescue and rehabilitation centres, and it's rehabilitation for wild animals. And it's in Metchosin, so it's literally around the corner, you know, in my constituency from where I live. But visitors can't come in and visit the animals because they're so traumatised, and that would interfere with their rehabilitation. And what I learned going there, and I so appreciated the time they spent with me, but I learned so much about the implications for us of a spill response and what we have provincially in terms of being able to support animals, protect animals, help animals be rehabilitated. That, you know, I really appreciated all the learning that I absorbed just from being there. You know, all of those technical details, all of the support that's needed for them to be successful there. And the volunteer time and hours there has to be worth millions of dollars a year in people hours. And it's people in the community, people in my community that I know, who are really proud of being part of that association, and they give up their time, and it could be anything from folding blankets to gathering food, you know, from the local environment, creating the menus, creating the food that the animals are going to be fed, staying up and feeding these little chicks that might need to be fed every 15 minutes, 24 hours a day. It's really intense. It's amazing the work that they do. I got home one day in my vehicle and my family was in my car, and there was a Wild Ark van at the bottom of our drive. And I was like, hi, great work that you're doing. What are you up to? And she was literally collecting ocean spray. And I was like, well, feel free to walk up this driveway, it's mine, and just go and gather what you want. They're really integrated in the community and do a really valuable service, and yet kind of tucked away, and a lot of people don't know about them. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And of course, on the very other side of your constituency, I understand you took a day ship on one of the Navy ships?
Yeah, that's right. Well, of course, we're really honoured. We have CFB Esquimalt in the constituency. So we have a lot of military families that live in the constituency as well. And yeah, I was invited to go out for a day trip on the Yellowknife, and many other community people were invited there as well. So they gave us briefings, and we were taken out to sea, and we had a rescue helicopter demonstrate to us coming and landing on the ship out at sea and having to rescue somebody, get them into the helicopter, and then actually, you know, put them back on the ship safely as well. And we were able to, you know, we had lunch prepared by the mess, and we were able to sit down and have lunch with the staff on the ship as well. And so it was really great that we were given briefings and, you know, learned a lot of the overview of the work that the ship did, and then we were able to have those individual chats with people, and it's their day-to-day life, and hear about how they, you know, manage all of that. And I'm so proud and appreciative of all the service that we receive from, you know, everybody that is staff and you know, volunteers again on the ship, and all of their families, because it takes families to support our military functioning as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, with your constituency being in Greater Victoria, there's so many wonderful events in the region.
Yeah.
I understand you took part in the Pride Parade this year.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's a picture right there.
Right, and of course, you know, and there with, you know, some of my favourite people, Carol James and Rob Fleming. Yeah, again, it's a real honour. You know, these things are really important community events, and you know, as a citizen, as a community member, I would always try and participate, and it's such an honour to be there to demonstrate support as a community leader, and to say this is really important, and it's so important. I'm personally going to be here, give a lot of my time, listen to people, hear what the issues are, hear what people want to say. And of course, it ends up at a large field where there's lots of vendors and people talking about their organisation, and so we, you know, it was possible to spend a lot of time there talking to people. Again, you know, there were lots of different lenses and dimensions to that movement as well. So it's really important to hear all of those. And of course, our MP Randall Garrison was there as well, and he again is a great support. I'm the only MLA that's totally within his boundaries. He kind of shares his other MLAs with other MPs. And he's been a great support as well, and we share a lot of information about the community, a lot of understanding about what's happening in our community.
Right, absolutely. And one thing that was happening in your community, I understand there was a new Centre for Wellbeing that opened, and you got to, there's a picture of the ribbon cutting with the Premier.
Yeah, the Premier was there, the Lieutenant Governor was there, and that's an amazing project that a non-profit organisation you know, had been stewarding some resources and some assets on behalf of the community. Pacific Centre Family Services is celebrating its 50th year next year in 2018. And this is part of their long-term plan, long-term investment, that for them to be viable and to be able to respond to community needs, offering community support, family support, youth outreach in the community, that they have built a Centre for Wellbeing. And it's built with a trauma-informed design. So the counselling staff were all consulted on at least 4 separate occasions about the design of the building, so that it was informed by the people that it served, and the people who will be coming for the first time maybe ever to actually talk about issues they're experiencing and access some services. And the whole concept is that it's integrated. We know from the community social services sector that collaboration amongst services is the most effective way to help families. And so the building will be inviting in other similar organisations that are offering services of wellbeing, health, social supports, recovery, and that will also then create more financial sustainability and viability for the organisation.
That's wonderful.
So that was really exciting to be there. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and I understood you were able to take in some of the farmers markets in your community over the summer.
And we have so many. Yeah. I mean, 4 days a week, I was able to go to farmers markets.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It's really great. And the vendors were different at each. So, you know, that showed a real health and vibrancy in the community as well. And a lot of different products. So a lot of crafts. And a lot of produce. So it was really fabulous to see, and it was so colourful as well. And then the way that it was integrated in the community as well. So, for example, at Esquimalt Farmers Market, it's right by the play area, so families can come down. They would come down, put blankets down. There's a playground. There would be music, and then they also had volunteers who would look after pets because the pets couldn't go into the market. So families would make an evening of it. You know, the parents would do some shopping of local produce. You know, it'd be fun and interesting because of all the crafts, and the food trucks would be there, and so, you know, the whole family and passing visitors and tourists as well, you know, it would be really buzzing down there. Then of course there was the Q market on a Wednesday, which was a new one that was in Colwood. Metchosin Farmers Market, of course, the Metchosin is on Sunday. And again, you know, that has music, it has food that you can buy, a food truck, and lots of produce, as you can imagine, with all the farms in Metchosin. And then Goldstream Market too, which is right in the heart of West Shore. And so many people from my constituency, you know, I would bump into all these different markets, and it's really thriving. It's it's really great fun and really great to see. And I would always think ahead and think, okay, I need some tomatoes. When's the next market? And I'll go out and get some tomatoes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. I just wanted, before the break, I wanted to get to your constituency office opening.
Right.
That must have been wonderful to open your office in the community.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've had a soft opening. We're going to do a big open house for people on November the 15th. They can come in between 4 and 6 in the evening. And it's in a really bustling area. Yeah, it's really close to Thrifters at Admiral's Walk. So if you walk up the hill, you can see the sign to Esquimalt. It's actually in View Royal. So it's really in the heart of the constituency. And a lot of people go there, and it's on good bus route as well. So it's really easy for people to get to. And I really encourage people to come into the office. It's great working space for my staff as well, and I've recruited some fabulous constituency assistants who know the community really well and understand the vision of our office, our constituency office, and how we want to help people, and we're there to assist people with issues that they may have. Yeah,
and of course, and so many reasons for constituents to get in touch with you. And can you tell me about some of the things you've heard from constituents?
Well, what we're hearing from constituents actually is an echo of what we were hearing on the doorstep when we were campaigning as well, which was the same messages that really promoted me to get into campaigning and into this position in the first place. People are still struggling with the issues of affordability, issues of housing, and getting around, just being able to have a job, look after their family, and then try and take their family out or do some sporting activities or whatever.
Yeah, and after 16 years of a previous government, it's going to take a while for it to get back on track. But we have to take a short break. We've been speaking with MLA for Esquimalt Metchosin, Mitzi Dean. And if you'd like to get in touch with Mitzi, get your pen and paper ready, because we'll be broadcasting her contact details on the screen, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Constituency Report on Shaw TV. We've been speaking with MLA for Esquimalt Metchosin, Mitzi Dean. Thank you again for being here, Mitzi.
Yeah, it's a real privilege. Thank you.
Wonderful. So I'd like to start off the second half by getting your thoughts on sessions so far this fall.
Yeah, well, it's really intense and it's enjoyable. It's really pleasurable being there and learning so much, being there in the House. And we're making so much progress. What I'm so proud of is how together what the team has been able to do is to create the legislation that's been needed to honour our platform and our campaign promises. And so the legislation has gone through a thorough review process. All of us as MLAs receive briefings on it, and then it gets presented in the House, and then we have the opportunity to debate it, which, I find that really refreshing and really engaging as well. And, my approach to that is to always think, and so how does this benefit people in my community? How do I see that this is addressing an issue that people I know have been experiencing? How do I see this creates solutions, this creates pathways for them to actually be able to, just be able to get on with their family lives and be more engaged in work, for example. Yeah, so we've done a lot of work in the legislature, and again, there are lots of different dimensions to it. So I've also had the opportunity to stand up and make several statements about really important events and really important themes in my constituency. And that gives me the opportunity to really honour everything that's already going on in my constituency, that I just find it so diverse and inspiring. And at the same time, there's all of that business of getting through the legislation and having that debate and hearing what the Greens are saying about it and what the Liberals are saying about it as well, and getting into committee stage to actually debate those bills. And then, already we've reached royal assent on some bills. And so I'm really pleased with how much progress that we've made. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know that housing affordability is a big issue in your constituency. Can you talk a little bit about what's been happening in the House regarding that issue?
Yeah, well, housing is a priority for us as government. Housing was a really important issue for us in our platform. And so I know that our Minister for Housing has actually been working on a plan. What we're committed to is rolling out a housing strategy. There are lots of different dimensions to how we need to solve the affordability crisis and the issue in that area. So we're committed to new builds, which is part of it. Part of the solution. We're also committed to working with non-profit organisations, cooperatives, and so I know that there are plans and proposals that are emerging in communities to partner with the government to be able to solve that issue as well. And one of the early remedies that has been implemented has been increasing funding to the residential tenancy branch.
Right.
And that will really help people in my community, because a lot of the issues in my community are around issues for tenants and rent rates going up too fast and going up at a rate that is not affordable. And then there was such a backlog for tenants to be able to have that remedied in a way that was reasonable and effective as well. So that's again, I'm really pleased to see we're rolling out these programs very quickly and in a way that we know it's going to deliver results as well. And I know that's going to deliver results in my constituency. So I know that when people come to my constituency office, I know that my staff there already will be able to help people access services and access remedies and supports without them just hearing that they're going to be put on a waiting list, which isn't of help to them. Yeah.
And for tenants, I hear that there's been a change already announced that has to do with rent increases around the fixed term lease loophole.
Yeah, so we're tackling that as well, which has been one of the critical issues, as I said, in our community, so that that rates for tenants won't be able, that loophole won't be there, which will mean that tenants will have much more security so that their rent isn't going up at a not affordable rate. And as we know, a lot of people are choosing between, my rent and then paying for food or, paying for other really critical things for their family as well. And the proportion of rent people are spending compared to their income isn't sustainable. And so we have to make sure that there aren't loopholes that exploit people, because people are working hard. And, this is a trend that's been around for many, many years. But people in my constituency across the province are working really hard, and they're still struggling to make ends meet. And so where there are loopholes, where we can take quick action that's fair and reasonable, I'm really proud to say that the government has been doing that already, and it directly benefits people in my community. Yeah.
Absolutely. And housing affordability, of course, plays into poverty rates.
Yeah.
And I know that there's been a lot of talk about a poverty reduction plan.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's been happening already?
Well, yeah, I'm really pleased again to see, that the Minister for Social Development and Poverty Reduction has committed to creating a poverty reduction plan. And again, this is another real advantage of the way that we're working together in our caucus as well. I know that I can talk to ministers, I can talk to parliamentary secretaries about experiences of people in my constituency, and also from my experience of working in the community provincially and regionally and locally. Because this issue has been around for a long time. And so there are many well-developed ideas that can be heard and can be considered by a government that wants to tackle poverty and understands how poverty plays an important role in terms of health, education outcomes, economic outcomes as well. So, the minister and the staff and everybody involved in the poverty reduction plan is already working on creating that plan and creating plans for consultation as well. So I'm really happy to be able to make some contributions, try and facilitate some input into that too.
Yeah, and showing what a commitment it is on day 2 of the new government. I think they increased the income assistance rates. Is that correct?
Yeah, and again, that was something that's really important in my constituency as well. Yeah, so immediately being able to make these changes, and it's a sign of how we want to move forwards. So an immediate change in income assistance rates, increasing that by $100 a month. And one thing that I heard really strongly on my campaign was the allowance for earnings for people with disabilities as well. And what that does is it says we're going to tackle the poverty trap.
Right.
What it says is we understand that you're able to find some work and you want to be self-determined and self-sufficient as far as possible, and that shouldn't be penalised. That people should actually be able to find those ways of engaging in the labour market and creating a life for themselves that they aspire to and that they want and that they deserve. Yeah. So certainly for a lot of people in my constituency, that, and also the pass for travel as well. So reinstating,
the disability bus pass.
The bus pass. Yeah, exactly. And the value base behind that is, what that says to people is, you use that for whatever kind of transport you need. So it isn't tied to a particular methodology. It's not saying, well, you have to do this and that's the only way that we're going to fund it. It's saying, you can, you choose, you best know the ways of getting around in your community, how to get from A to B to C, and get to the places that you need to get to. And we, you're going to make those decisions, and so here's the funding for you to be able to do that.
It gives them that choice. And I know that another big priority for this government has been reconciliation. And I believe in all the minister mandate letters was implementing the calls to action and the UN declaration. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, I've been really proud to see that we've talked so much and people have referenced so much the mandate letters and the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and that already our actions have shown that we're living into that commitment and that promise. Not only at the First Nations Leadership Conference, where all the ministers came, all the ministers offered time to First Nations leaders. MLAs were there as well, and we're talking to people in their communities and just listening and being part of the dialogue. That's new. That sets a new standard for government to say, this is really important and this is how important it is. Absolutely. Because we're going to be there and we're going to listen.
And there was Orange Shirt Day. Correct?
Yeah, and Orange Shirt Day again, honoured in the legislature, honoured by having the Premier out on the steps in front of the legislature. And we were all really proud to be part of that day. Absolutely. And again, it's something we honour in our communities, and we're really proud to take part of in our communities and to step into that new role of leadership, of being an MLA and being in government and saying, actually, this is really important to our government.
Yeah, and we're almost out of time, but I know you wanted to also talk about the witness blanket that was at Royal Roads. Yeah,
so the witness blanket has been touring around the country for a couple of years now, and it was on display at Royal Roads, and of course Royal Roads is in my constituency, a fabulous post-secondary institution. It was a real honour to be there and to know so many of the people there as well, and to be part of a solemn honouring of recognition of that.
So many amazing things going on, but unfortunately we're out of time today.
Okay.
I'd love to talk to you more. It's been a real pleasure, Mitzi.
Thank
you for being here. We've been talking today with Esquimalt Metchosin MLA Mitzi Dean. I'm your host, Joanna Groves. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Constituency Report on Shaw TV.